Welcome to our webinar on volunteering abroad for solo female travellers. Awesome to have so many of you joining us from all around the world today. We're based here in the IVHQ headquarters in New Zealand, but we get to connect with volunteers from all around the world. We've had volunteers joining us from almost 100 different countries. So when you're traveling with IVHQ, you get to meet people not just in the community that you're connecting with and volunteering with, also those other international volunteers you'll be working alongside. So to help answer all of your questions around volunteering abroad as a solo female traveller, today I've got Molly, who's one of our IVHQ Europe program managers, and Ella, one of our IVHQ Asia program managers. And Molly's just returned from visiting the IVHQ programs in Europe. Whereabouts have you been, Molly?
So I was in Greece and Italy in Europe.
Awesome. And Ella's just returned from visiting a few of our Asia programs. Whereabouts did you go?
I just came back from Thailand and Bali.
Awesome. So we'll get some great insights from Molly and Ella as we talk through your questions today. And we'll also be recording this webinar, so if you have you need to refer back to any of the information shared, you'll be able to do so when we send out the link afterwards. Awesome. So today we'll be covering off some of the top IVHQ destinations for solo females. That's a question we get quite often. So we'll give you an insight into some of the most popular destinations for IVHQ volunteers. Then we'll talk through some of your frequently asked questions. Thanks to everyone who submitted the questions through the registration form for the webinar. That's been super helpful to help us understand what you'd like to learn more about. So we've crafted this webinar accordingly, and we'll get some top tips from Ella and Molly as we go through as well. And you'll also have the opportunity to ask us anything. So as we're going through the webinar, please pop any questions you have into the chat, and we'll go through all of those questions at the end. We'll also be sharing some helpful links back to our website as we go through the webinar. So Ivana, who's here with us today, will be sharing those in the chat, so you can click through to our website to learn more if there's any topics that you're interested in finding out some further details about. So let's go. Now, one of the questions we always get is, are there many solo females that volunteer with IVHQ? And the answer is definitely. More than 70% of our volunteers are female, and more than 70% of volunteers travel solo. So you can clearly see that you'll never be alone. You'll always be in the company of like-minded solo female travellers when you volunteer with IVHQ. Awesome. So now let's cover off some of the top destinations for solo female travellers. Ella, you can talk us through Bali, having just been there.
So yeah, as Ella mentioned, I just came back from our Bali program in February. So we have 3 destinations or 3 projects in Bali that you can join while you're there. And Bali's been really popular with our younger volunteers and first-time travellers. The local team in Bali are really friendly and always willing to help volunteers. So that's what makes it really popular with first-time travellers. Yeah, so it's a great choice if you're looking to volunteer.
Awesome. And in Bali, Ella, I know we've got a program in Ubud. There's the Turtle Conservation Project based on the island of Nusa Penida, and also some projects in Lavina. Which of those destinations is the most popular? I guess if you want to go as a solo traveller and meet as many other travellers as possible, where would you go?
Yeah, so out of the 3 destinations, Ubud would definitely be the most popular location. That's typically where most of our volunteers go when they go into Bali, is Ubud. So yeah, if you're looking for that social aspect, then Ubud would be a great choice. Lavina is also a great location if you're wanting a destination that's really close to the beach. It's only about a 5-minute walk. So if you're wanting more relaxing time, then Lavina would be a good option. But if you're wanting like that social aspect, then Ubud would be a better option for you.
Awesome, thank you. What have we got next? Portugal. Molly, talk us through what's good about Portugal for solo female.
Yeah, of course. So Portugal is fantastic for solo female travellers. It's a really popular program, most popular in Europe, especially in the summer months over there. We have a wide range of projects, but half of them are actually related to conservation and animal care. So it's super cool for those volunteers wanting to get involved in that. The accommodation is also a big volunteer kind of hostel / house right on the beach, similar to Lavina, 5 minutes away. So it's great for meeting new people. We get such an age range going on in that program as well, that it's just such a fantastic opportunity.
Awesome. What have we got? Tanzania. Ella, talk us through Tanzania.
So Tanzania is definitely our most popular program in Africa. Really popular again for younger volunteers, but like Molly said, all ages can join these programs. Tanzania is also great if you are wanting to get a bit of a cultural immersion, and on the weekends you can do safaris, do lots of sightseeing there. The local team in Tanzania actually run their own safaris, so yeah, it's great if you wanted to do some volunteering, but also get to do visit some safaris on the weekend.
Awesome. And Tanzania is one of our longest standing volunteer programs. So the local team there have been hosting IVHQ volunteers, thousands of them over the past almost 15 years. So you're in safe hands with a very experienced team. And Costa Rica, another one of IVHQ's longest standing programs. Molly, what makes Costa Rica a good option?
Yeah, Costa Rica is awesome. There's so many projects to choose from, all the way from medical to teaching to construction and renovation. It's just so many. We have different locations as well. So we've got San Jose and also Manuel Antonio, so you've got a little bit of variety. Costa Rica is also nice and close to North America, so super quick, easy flight for our volunteers coming from there. In terms of ages, whole age range as well, but we have recently just launched a volunteer summer camp for 16 and 17-year-olds. So we're really excited for the opportunity that brings to our younger volunteers in Costa Rica. Yeah, it's going to be really good.
So what about the programs that you recently visited in Europe, Molly, which, Italy, Greece, did they have lots of solo females there?
Yeah. So when I was in Italy, actually on one of the start dates, it was all solo female travellers. There was just over 10 of them, so that was really awesome to see. They were super excited. They all linked up, made friends really quickly, so it was really great to see.
Awesome. And what about your travels?
Yeah, same for when I visited Bali and Thailand. Typically, most of the volunteers, I'd say, well over 70% were female as well, and same with Molly. A lot of the volunteers end up becoming friends and doing traveling on the weekend together, and even after the program, which was really cool to see.
Nice. Now we'll look into what kind of skills and qualifications you need to volunteer with IVHQ.
Yeah, that's a good question. So, I mean, most of our programs, you don't typically need any qualifications to join, just that you can speak English, as our programs are run in English. It would only be if you were applying for one of our medical projects. Let's say most of our medical projects, you do need some kind of medical qualifications, but otherwise, yeah, more than welcome to apply for any of our programs.
Awesome. And the medical projects, we also have options for students as well, right? Some of the projects can cater to.
Yeah, we have a lot of medical students that join our programs, as well as pre-med students as well. So, awesome. Yeah, more than welcome.
Perfect. Next FAQ. Molly, what types of volunteer opportunities do you recommend for solo female travellers?
Yeah, I mean, we've got such a variety. I mean, they're all fantastic. We've got volunteers that choose to kind of get stuck into something that they've never done before or don't have experience in. And it's a great kind of safe, supportive environment to get stuck into those kind of things, which is really cool. And then we have volunteers choosing to join projects that they have experience in, so whether that's teaching or childcare, environmental-based ones. So the variety is huge, and they're all amazing opportunities. So yeah, all of them, to be honest, would be great for solo females.
And I know my sister has volunteered abroad with IVHQ a number of times, and she's been 3 different destinations, done 3 different projects, and we get lots of volunteers that do that, right? That come back and try their hands at different kinds of projects, because you're going to get a totally different experience if you're working on a construction project versus a teaching project.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a cool way to experience a different side of volunteering abroad. And even within the same location, right? You can do split your time between one project and another. So that's also an option if you want to, you know, make sure you kind of covered your bases and really had the full IVHQ experience.
Yeah, it's a great way, I guess, if you're looking to get into kind of a career but you're not too sure yet what you want to get into, you know, touching on that and going out and doing a volunteer program for a couple of weeks. It's, great idea.
Awesome. Thank you. Now, Ella, did you want to talk us through how much it costs to volunteer abroad with IVHQ? Obviously, that's a question that comes up a lot, and a lot of volunteers choose to come through IVHQ because we do have a real focus on providing affordable programs and I guess in a fully supportive environment. So you know, everything is taken care of for you, right?
Exactly. So we get this question all the time. So with IVHQ, there's 2 different fees. There's the registration fee and the program fee. So the registration fee, we have 3 options you can choose from, and that will depend on the flexibility and refundability of your program that you choose. And the cheapest option you can choose is $329 US. So once you pay your registration fee, your spot on the program is secure, and you'll also have access to a checklist which provides you with everything you should need to know to get you ready to join the program. And with the program fee, that one there pays for your in-country costs, and that one isn't due until 30 days before your start date. And the price, it depends on how long you're going for and the destination that you choose. But the cheapest option we have is US $22 per day.
So then what are the cheapest programs, or one of the cheapest programs available in Asia if someone's, you know, like traveling on a budget and is, you know, wants to know where they can go?
That's a good question. I think in Asia, our India Delhi program is one of our cheaper ones. Yeah, definitely. And then
and in Europe, Romania?
Romania is great in Europe, Romania, and also Croatia is a good one as well.
I personally visited the Romania program, and that's an amazing program, awesome tight-knit local team and community, and as a solo female traveller, you definitely feel safe and supported in that environment.
Incredible feedback coming out from Romania.
Oh, that's so cool, Nice. And Ella, do you want to take us through what's included in that program fee you mentioned?
Yeah, so with the program fee, so as I mentioned, it covers all of your in-country costs. So it covers things like your airport pickup, your accommodation, your food, orientation, and that 24/7 support from the local team.
Awesome. So it really, you know, takes the hassle out of organising a trip where you do need to think about a lot of different moving parts, and you've got the full support of your program manager, whether that's Ella, Molly, or someone else from the IVHQ team to guide you through that journey. They're there to answer any questions you have, you know, pick up the phone, via email. They're an awesome support network, and they're there for you guys to use them. So definitely feel free to get in touch whenever you've got a curly question that you can't seem to get to the bottom of. Well, what have we got next? The accommodation. Talk us through the accommodation options, Molly.
Yeah, so we've got different accommodations throughout all of our destinations, anywhere from volunteer houses to public hostels to homestays. Some of our Africa destinations even have semi-permanent tents, so a wide variety of accommodation options. And most of the time in your standard accommodation, you're going to be sharing a room with at least one other person, which is a great way to meet other people. And we also have lots of private room options available. So we understand sometimes for some of our mature volunteers, but to be honest, all age groups sometimes enjoy a private room. So they are available just for a small additional cost in almost all of our destinations as well.
Perfect. And if you are interested in searching for different programs by the accommodation options, you can use the search tool on our website, and we'll share a link to that in the chat as well. Nice. And Ella, what about the food options?
Yeah, so I mean, the best part about traveling is trying the different food from all around the world. You really get to immerse yourself in the culture by trying the different foods. So yeah, with the food on the programs, they typically are from the country that you're volunteering in. And in terms of like dietary requirements and things like that, most of our local teams, I mean, they have volunteers every week joining the program, so they can cater to anywhere, any dietary requirements such as like vegetarian, dairy-free, gluten-free, vegan options. So yeah, they're pretty diverse with the range of food that they can make. Just remember to note it on your application if you do have any dietary requirements.
Awesome. And we've also got, again, a search filter on our search tool that enables you to specify your dietary requirements, and then the search tool will show you all of the programs that can cater to those dietary requirements. So that's a good feature if you've got anything you need to factor into your program selection. Awesome. And Molly, can you talk us through how IVHQ keeps volunteers safe? Obviously, that's a top question that's come through for solo female travellers, and yeah, tell us about the support network.
Super important question for sure. So there's kind of, I guess, two layers to this. You've got your pre-departure support and then your in-country support. So pre-departure support, you've got your IVHQ program manager. So there's lots of program managers here in the office. They're the specialist in that destination, so they're happy to answer any questions that you have around safety. You'll also get a comprehensive kind of training and preparation tools once you're registered. So they're great to go through. And it is mandatory for all of our volunteers to have travel insurance in case anything was to happen. Once you arrive in country, so the in-country support takes over. So you're picked up from the airport by a member of the local team who has been doing these airport pickups for years and years normally. There's an in-person orientation where, you know, they'll spend at least a few hours going through the orientation, which includes a lot of information about safety, do's and don'ts, you know, where to visit, where to avoid, all those kind of things. And then the local team is also there to support you 24/7 as well. So not only will sometimes you actually have the local team where you're staying, other times you'll have a contact number that's available 24/7 in case of any emergency. So I mean, we really do all we can to keep our volunteers safe. It's so important to us. You know, we've got such high kind of standards, and we've got lots of health and safety protocols and risk assessments that we do and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, we do a lot around safety.
Perfect. Thanks for that. And how do I get approval from family to travel solo? Obviously, we work with volunteers of all ages, and we often have family members that have concerns around younger volunteers and sometimes even older volunteers traveling abroad solo. What can we do to help with those kind of situations?
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, we get questions every day from volunteers themselves, but also from their family and friends as well, just wanting to kind of find out more about IVHQ and the program that they've selected. So pretty much as the program manager, we're here to provide all that pre-departure support. So we're more than happy to chat to your family members directly, and they can give us a call or send us an email, and we can answer any of the questions that you or they might have as well.
Fantastic. I know personally, when I first started working at IVHQ, or prior to working at IVHQ, my parents were quite cagey about me traveling abroad, you know, as a recent high school graduate solo, and but after working with IVHQ and getting my younger sister to join programs, they felt a lot more confident in her traveling solo because they knew she'd be picked up from the airport, they knew she'd be in accommodation that was, you know, vetted, and they could feel confident in letting her do that. So I can definitely speak firsthand to that kind of situation where your parents are a little bit nervous around letting you travel solo, and the reassurance that IVHQ kind of provides, and the confidence that it gives younger solo female travellers to actually get out there and see the world in a really safe and supportive way alongside like-minded travellers. So yeah, it's awesome. And what about connecting with these other volunteers? How can you go about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a question we get quite a lot, you know, volunteers wanting to connect with others, which is completely fair enough, especially our solo female travellers. You know, it's nice to know that there's going to be someone else in the country at the same time as you and things like that. So we find Facebook a really good way of connecting. We have a main big IVHQ Facebook page, and this is for past, present and future volunteers. We also have individual Facebook pages for each destination. So, for example, we have a Facebook page for Portugal, IVHQ Portugal, which is we call on Facebook. So we find that's a really great way for volunteers to connect. They can pop a post up in there, you know, and ask. We often have people asking who's going at the same time, has anyone ever done it, how do they like it, what do they like. So yeah, Facebook is a really great way of connecting.
Awesome. And I think these are predominantly private groups, right? So they're just, you know, you're just interacting with the other members of the group who are interested in volunteering in that same destination or volunteering by the HQ in general. Perfect. And what about free time activities? What can you do?
Yeah, that's a good question. So yeah, during the weekday, typically you'll volunteer from about Monday to Friday, and you'll have the weekends free to go explore the local area, join some local tours and activities. What's cool is the local team, obviously they have volunteers joining every week, so they can recommend the best companies that they have sent volunteers with before, so the safest options to choose from. So they'll normally have a list of options you can choose from. Also, some of our destinations have these, you can pre-book them in advance with IVHQ. So once you register, if you go to the checklist, it says book tours and add-ons, and there'll be a few different tours that you can book in advance, so you can kind of plan your trip, your entire trip before you go.
Awesome. And what are some of the best destinations if you do want to have the option to book lots of add-ons to fill your weekends? What are some of the best destinations for doing that?
Just from the top of my head, I can think we have lots in Costa Rica, Peru, Cusco. I know they have lots of tours and add-ons there. Tanzania, yeah, they've got lots of safaris that you can join. Yeah, in Asia, we have an introduction week, which you can join before you join the program as well. So that's a great way to do some sightseeing, as well as learning a bit more about the culture before you actually start volunteering as well.
Fantastic. Lastly, what is the application process? How do you get started? You know you're interested in volunteering abroad. Do you have an idea around what kind of work you want to do in the destination? What do you do next?
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, so step one is obviously figuring out kind of where you want to go and what you want to do. Once you've figured that out, the second step is really to apply. So it's free online on our website. All you need to do is click apply now. And in there, you'll be asking questions about yourself, your availability, so you can pop in when you want to go and how long for. It'll have some other questions about you, so we can get to know you a little bit better. That application will be passed on to your program manager, who will review it. And once they're happy, they'll get in touch with you. And the next step really is just to secure your place by registering. And that's when you get access to all the kind of pre-departure support and the checklist and program guide and things like that.
Fantastic. And you can make free changes to your registration after you register, right? Yeah. So you can change. What can you change?
Yeah, absolutely. So once you're registered, we can do as many changes as you need, free of charge, up until 14 days before that scheduled start date. So you can change your duration, your dates, your project, even your destination. You know, we often get people asking a lot of questions of whether they need to pay a new registration fee if they'd like to go somewhere else, but we can just move that over for you with you, so you don't need to pay another one. So yeah, totally.
Awesome. It's great having that level of flexibility. I did have one more question, but it has totally slipped my mind. So let's move on, and maybe it will come through in the frequently asked, the questions that have come through from you guys. So let's kick into those. Ivana has very conveniently written those down for us, so thank you very much, Ivana. Right, what is the experience like for volunteers in Croatia?
Yeah, Croatia's awesome. Croatia is probably our second most popular destination in Europe. It has a really good variety of projects there. You know, you've got your animal care, your youth support, your special needs care. So it's really great. It's a public hostel is the accommodation there. So not only does it have IVHQ travellers and volunteers, but it also has other travellers. So it's a really great way to meet people.
And all of the IVHQ accommodation is split by gender, right? So you'll be sharing rooms with someone else the same gender. Is that how it is?
Yeah. There's a handful that there is a possibility you may have to share a room with another gender, but majority of them, yes.
Okay, perfect. Are there any age requirements for programs? Do you want to talk to that one?
Yeah, I mean, we welcome all ages really, anywhere from 18 to 90. I think our oldest volunteer we had was 87 or something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, we welcome all ages. There's no age limit. You're more than welcome to apply.
And some of our programs do accept under 18s.
Yeah.
Independently, right? And what's the process if you are an under 18 volunteering with IVHQ? What do you need to do?
Yeah, so a lot of our programs do accept independent 16 and 17-year-olds. So all we need really is a guardian consent form. So when you go to make the application, before you go to take the next step to register, we just need a guardian consent form.
Okay, perfect. What have we got here? For Costa Rica, how is the safety and transportation? So what's the transportation like in Costa Rica? I know the local team, when I visited the program a few years ago, the local team, you have your orientation, then the local team will show you how to get from the local team's office to your accommodation, and then from your accommodation to your project. So it's all very clearly directed. So you have, you're not left to take transport to your project until you're fully confident, and the local team are there to support you. Is that right? And you're predominantly taking like buses if you're volunteering in San Jose?
Yeah, public transport, that's right. Yeah, public transport. So the local team will help with all of that, obviously, bus timetables and things like that if needed. Public transport's also a great way to kind of really immerse yourself into the culture and experiences and stuff like that. So yeah, exactly.
Definitely, I've got lots of fond memories exploring the public transport of different IVHQ locations, that's for sure. Do we get transport from the airport and over there throughout the program?
In Costa Rica?
And just in general, I guess that's it depends question, right? I mean, answer, yeah.
Yeah, so I think all of our programs you get an airport pickup. So that's included, so you don't have to worry about finding your way to the accommodation. It's all organised for you. Someone will be waiting at the airport. But yeah, in terms of transport from the placements each day, it depends on the destination. Some of them have it included and the local team will take you, and some of them it's either walking distance or public transport. It just depends on the destination that you've chosen.
Yeah, and if you're looking for a destination where you can just walk to your placement, or the local transport is included, definitely talk to our team, and they can help point you in the direction of an appropriate program. And in terms of the airport transfer back from your accommodation to the airport, that's something volunteers can often purchase as an add-on, but the local team can help you book your return transport, but it's not directly included in the program fee.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's come up with that. Not sure what that question means. Sorry, I'm just trying to, we'll have to get back to that one. What is the percentage of volunteers under 18? That's a really good question. I think, a large majority of our volunteers are aged sort of between 18 and 25, but we would have around, I think, 10% of volunteers aged under 18 around about. So there's definitely a good number of volunteers under the age of 18, some traveling solo, some traveling with a parent or a friend, and others traveling as a family, which is really awesome to see.
Yeah, for sure. And we've got a few really cool projects, like the summer camp one in Costa Rica that's specifically being made for our under 18-year-olds, so our 16 and 17-year-olds. So, it's definitely getting more and more popular for sure.
Awesome. And we've got some good recommendations for teen and high school students on our website too. If you search the website by trip types, you can scroll down and have a look at the options, the top recommendations for teen and high school students. Okay, next lot of questions. Kruger, has anyone been to the Kruger program? Someone's looking for specific information around the experiences and recommendations from the Kruger program. I know between the three of us, we haven't visited that program ourselves, but I know I've seen some great videos from some IVHQ volunteers from Kruger, I think, and some good images on Instagram. So I'd probably go have a look at IVHQ on Instagram and scroll through and have a look for those stories to get a first-hand insight from a volunteer about that experience. or definitely reach out to us at info@volunteerhq, and you can get connected with one of our program experts who can talk you through what to expect and some recommendations specific to what you're looking for. Tips about solo traveling in Ecuador.
Yeah, I mean,
question.
yeah, I guess a lot what we've touched on. So, you know, we cover a lot of tips and things like that in your program guide and your comprehensive training and your preparation tools. But I think as well, you know, once you get in country and you get to your orientation, those that are running your orientation are locals. They know all the, you know, they've got all the top tips. So maybe where you shouldn't go at nighttime and where you should go with someone else and things like that. So, I mean, it's really helpful to have that in-country orientation with a local. They can provide so much information and tips.
Yeah, and to buddy up, right? When you arrive in the program, you know, find, you know, connect with some other volunteers and make sure, you know, you guys are always, you know, traveling together, and so you're never alone, or always letting someone know where you're going and, you know, when you're expected to be back. And but yeah, like Molly said, you know, once you've registered for a program, you will get a wealth of information to support you and ensure you're well prepared. But I think the number one tip that probably comes back from our volunteers is to just go with an open mind and to be open to, you know, what you're about to learn, and because I guess your experience is never going to align directly with your expectations, and that's 100% a good thing if you let it. So definitely come with an open mind is the number one tip I think that we see coming through. Tanzania, what time of the year is best weather-wise? I think I would probably, again, it'd be great to connect with our Tanzania program manager to get some good information around that. But Google's also great for getting some direction around the best time to travel to particular destinations. And can you go to Tanzania if you're 16?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Sure.
And like we said, we have a lot of under 18s traveling to Tanzania because it is such a popular program. Again, I think we've got a good a video interview from a team who volunteered in Tanzania solo with us a couple of years ago. So definitely have a look at our Instagram account and scroll through the videos to find that. Are there any requirements about childcare experience for the childcare projects, and also in teaching as well?
Yeah, that's a good question. Most, I think, if not all, childcare projects don't actually require you to have any previous experience. So the local team during the orientation will, you know, teach you what you might need to know, and there'll be a staff member around that can always help you as well, and you'll have the other volunteers with you. So although you might not have childcare experience, there'll always be someone that can guide you and you know, teach you what you might need to know. Same with the teaching program as well. Most of the time you don't need teaching experience, but you're more than welcome to join either of the projects.
And because you will be working alongside the local teacher, right, and following a local curriculum, so
exactly.
You're there to offer support. And all of our projects are, you know, volunteers are placed in projects by the local team because they are in the best position to identify, you know, where in the community there is a need for volunteers to support all of the projects they offer. So you can be confident that, you know, the role you're playing is adding value to your placement and building on the capacity of the local staff there. And it's awesome for the local staff as well to have interactions with, you know, international volunteers and help practice their English in some cases. And actually that's something we haven't covered. Language requirements. Can you, you know, if you just speak English, can you volunteer on any of our programs? How does that work?
Yeah, so the programs are run in English, so it is, I mean, kind of one of our requirements that you do need to speak English to join the program. Yeah, so that's pretty much the main requirement. Some locations, it is great if you do speak Spanish, and that's some of our Spanish-speaking programs. It's more of a recommendation though, it's not necessarily a requirement for most of them.
Yeah, for sure. And you know, it's quite polite to learn a few words like hello and thank you and stuff in the local language. You know, just so they love to see that you're trying. But yeah, it's not a requirement, but it's always great to learn just a few if you can.
So some of our programs do have language lessons available as well as an option too, if that's something you know, you're interested in exploring further. Especially in, I know, like, you know, Costa Rica, Peru, Guatemala all have Spanish language lessons alongside a number of our other programs. Perfect. Do you get older people volunteering? Another great question.
Yes.
Yes,
We do.
lots more recently too, which is so awesome.
We've had loads of older volunteers coming through. I think, you know, after COVID, it's kind of changed people's perspective a lot, and you know, we find a lot more people are actually getting out there and volunteering, which is super cool. So yeah, a whole age range coming through. We're always happy to kind of provide recommendations on where we might see more older volunteers kind of veering towards, and you know, some of our programs we have a lot of younger volunteers, so we can definitely provide recommendations on the best, you know, the best places to go if you're kind of tossing up between a few.
Perfect. And what are some recommendations off the top of your head? You know, obviously all of our destinations are open to volunteers of all ages, but which ones are particularly popular with older volunteers at the moment?
Question. I mean, a lot of them, we're finding a lot of volunteers prefer a private room option. So mostly the destinations that do offer private room upgrades. I know in Asia, for example, our Bali Lavina program is quite popular for older volunteers, as well as maybe our Vietnam program and maybe our Nepal program.
In Europe, Italy comes to mind straight away. Yeah, it's been very, very popular. When I was visiting there, there were quite a few older volunteers that were really enjoying it. So yeah, Italy's a great one for Europe.
Perfect. And what about Africa, Tanzania?
Probably Tanzania.
The Victoria Falls program is also an awesome experience for volunteers of all ages, and particularly popular with the older volunteers. You do get a private room, and you are based on a private game reserve working on a wildlife conservation volunteer program. So a very unique experience, and definitely one that comes highly recommended from older volunteers.
Yeah, Morocco as well, and Africa,
right,
actually.
Of course, yeah,
that's a great one as well.
Nice. Now, how are we going for time? We've got a little bit more time. We've actually already gone over time. We've got a few more questions to cover off, so we'll keep going because we don't want to miss anything, and there's still a few more to get through. But like I said, if you do have to drop off, we will be sending a recording out to everyone after this. Can I please get information on teaching English in Buenos Aires? Again, probably best to go directly to our website. If you search for the Teaching English project in Buenos Aires, you'll get a really comprehensive overview of what to expect, what your day might look like. And if you do have any more questions, please do get in touch with us via the contact form on our website, and we can answer any questions you have specific to that program. I personally haven't visited that program recently, and I know Alan and Molly haven't either, but we do have other members of the team that have got deep insight into that program. So please do get in touch so we can answer all your questions. Another good question, do we do vetting on volunteers? So what, talk us through the vetting process in terms of criminal background checks.
Yeah, absolutely. So all of our volunteers need to provide us with a criminal background check that is no older than 12 months from the date that you're starting the program. Under 18-year-olds, often can't get criminal background checks, and so we get them to give us 2 character reference letters. So whether that's from a teacher at school or if they've done volunteering before, previous employment, things like that.
Cool. And do many under 18s go to Zanzibar? Now, it's a relatively new IVHQ program, right? And a smaller one, but I believe we do host under 18s on the Zanzibar program. Awesome. And that's another great program for conservation opportunities and a unique accommodation setup. We are the destination specific pages on Facebook. So these are they're groups. So if you search IVHQ, so if you go into Facebook and search in the search bar, so say if you're looking for the Bali group, you'd search IVHQ Bali, and you should see that group appear. If not, just make sure you're filtering your searches by groups, and you should there is a group for every single destination. So have a look through there, and the program manager will accept you into the group, so you can start looking at the previous photos and videos and conversations that people have had about that program, and yeah, and ask any questions you've got yourself.
If for any reason you can't find the Facebook page, you can always email your program manager and we can always send you a link as well.
Perfect. Okay, another good question about an Africa program. Are you aware of any solo females traveling to Zambia? Yes, and that's a great program, but I've always I haven't visited the Zambia program personally, but I visited the Victoria program, which is nice and close. But I've heard such great things about it being quite a small, tight-knit volunteer group that go to Zambia versus, say, Tanzania, where you can have a lot more volunteers. An awesome, supportive local team and some fantastic projects that I know volunteers often return to a number of times because they definitely feel very invested in the community and the work that they've done there. So that's definitely a popular one for solo females.
So that's a great option. Yeah.
We get really good feedback from the Zambia program. Yes.
Do you think I could apply now for summer, or is that too soon?
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, I thought it was too late.
No, yeah, definitely. We accept applications. You know, some of our destinations we can accept applications and get you out, you know, next week if you submit the application this week. So yeah, it's never too soon, and you know, often it's never too late. You know, sometimes it may just be moving you a week later. So yeah, definitely not too soon.
And that actually poses another good question that we often get, like, how soon should I apply?
Yeah, I mean, we have, like Molly said, we have volunteers applying for next week, but we also have volunteers applying for 2025. So
best to get in as soon as you can, right?
Yeah.
Especially because some programs do fill up over the summer months, right?
The summer months are our busiest months, anywhere from May to September. That's when the programs typically do fill up quite quick. So definitely sooner than later to apply. Yeah.
So, and like Molly said before, you can make unlimited free changes up until 14 days before your start date. So you've got that flexibility even if you are applying 2 years, 2 years in advance.
Same with like booking flights as well. If you book flights in advance, it's typically cheaper as well, because I know flight costs can be a factor when organising trips.
Definitely. Good advice. Okay, this is the last question, so we'll have to close it up after this. Otherwise, we could keep going all day. Okay, that's an interesting question. How are the closets to keep clothes in over dorm rooms? That's actually a really good question because
Yeah, I was just there.
yeah, exactly.
So in the rooms, it's in a volunteer house, the accommodation, and the rooms are shared. So there's usually, I think, 6 to 8 volunteers per room, and everyone gets a locker. So a very small locker. So it wouldn't fit your suitcase, but it would fit like any like important things, like a laptop or passport and things like that. So we typically recommend bringing like a backpack or a suitcase to slide under your bed. Yeah, so there are lockers, but they won't be big enough to hold like a big bag, just your valuables.
Yes, you can always bring a padlock to pop on that suitcase or backpack.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys all so much for joining. We hope we've answered some of the burning questions that you had. But again, please, if anything else hasn't been answered today, or if you have any feedback for us, please email us at info@volunteerhq, and the team will get back to you and answer anything that we may not